Hello, hello, and welcome to our lovely abundant friends. This is day 4 of Rewrite Your Money Story Bootcamp. So welcome, welcome. Please drop in the chat where you're calling in from. And today is all about your faith and your environment are your destiny. It's a really powerful lesson. And if you have any questions, post them in the chat and do feel free to continue the conversation over in the Facebook page. So over to Haley to get started. Thanks, Haley.
Thanks, Ingrid. Thanks for hanging in there with us this week. I know it is the wee hours of your time in Australia, but we are very grateful for you and your presence and your energy. So today what we're going to do is I'm going to do a recap on what we've covered this week so far. And then we're going to hear from a beautiful soul, another coach, actually a money mindset coach, Mareike Bruns from Germany. And then we'll wrap up the day and we'll kind of take you through what to expect over the next couple days as well. So this week, what we've been focusing on is helping you to rewrite your money story. And, in order to do that, in order to rewrite any story that you're looking to replace, any new results that you're looking to create, you first have to start with, what we talked about on Monday is just being very honest with yourself, taking a real look inside and being honest with where you're at. Because in order to get to somewhere new, you have to know where you're currently at, right? If you're planning a trip and you want to, take a trip to LA, you have to know where you're starting from. And so the key is to not, if your results are not what you want them right now, that's fine. Don't be hard on yourself. Just be observant from a neutral place and know that you have the power within you to change that. And that's what this material, that's what this week has all been about. So what we want to do is on Monday, what we did was we got rid of all those old stories that are no longer serving us, right? And we wrote them all out. We got them out of our mind, our body, our subconscious, and we burned them. Again, doesn't mean that they're gone forever. With repetition, they will be. But it's a symbolic gesture for you to be able to release and in order to let and allow the goodness and what it is that you want into your life. So we started with that, and then we moved right on to really determining what it is that you want, right? It just starts with a want. It starts with the one idea that you want to create or have something more than you do today. And then we turned that into a goal. All right. And then what we did was we looked at, okay, well, now we have this goal. We have this high level, the C-type goal, something that we have no idea how in the world we're going to accomplish it. And we have that. And then we want to take like a quick look at okay, well, what holds people back in the manifestation process? And the only two things, very simply, that holds people back is our current programming or our paradigms. And the second thing is fear, because when you're going after something that you've never gone after before, something that's worthy of you, a very high level, what we call C-type goal, that fear is going to creep in. And if it doesn't creep in, you're not going after something that is big enough. And so we talked about our paradigms, understanding how our conscious, our subconscious mind is programmed in relation to the results that we're getting. And then we touched on decision and how to make a decision, how to make a committed decision that no matter what, you're not going to let anything stand in your way. You're not going to let your past programming, you're not going to let your environment, you're not going to let any sort of fear, procrastination, anything like that get in the way between you and your goal. So through repetition, we work to fuse with our goal so that we can accelerate the manifestation process. Then we got into self-image yesterday. And what I want to do is, let me just share my screen real quick here, because I just want to drive home 2 points on self-image, because again, our self-image is everything. Okay, so if there's anything that we want to create, the first thing we have to do is we have to go to our self-image. I remember I shared this story with Keith and Ingrid yesterday after our call that, there's a couple of really key moments of, when I've had the opportunity to either, get mentored by Bob or when I was working directly for him, that really stand out as pivotal moments in my growth and my journey. And one of them it's directly related to self-image. And I remember exactly where I was. It was the summer of 2020. And, it was kind of, in the middle of that first round of the pandemic and lockdown and everything. And it was the summer. I remember I was at my parents' house before they moved, and we were doing a team call, and I asked Bob, I said, Bob Proctor, I said, if someone is doing the work, and they're not seeing results outside of the gestation period, like we don't there is always that period of time that we don't know how long it's going to take something to manifest. So outside of that, if what else could it be that is holding people back? And he said, it's the image. They don't have a clear enough image. And so and that means that they don't have a clear enough image of the end result. Right. And this is this is huge, because it's about, Neville Goddard talks about this. It's about living from your goal, not just thinking of it. Okay. When you live from the end, more often than not, you're living from, like, you're already fused with your goal. You're already connected with it, right? And so that's a different energy than just thinking of it. So when we're just thinking of the goal, it's like there's a disconnected feeling there. So we want to live from the end, and that, in order to do that, you have to have the image, right? So I have a goal for myself between now and the end of June. June 28th is my date, and I have images that I pull from when if something happens in my day where I get off course, or because life happens, right? We're all, like I said earlier in the week, like, we're all human. But when that happens, I have an image immediately that I reach for, of what I'm going to be doing, how I'm going to be celebrating, how I'm going to be serving, who I'm going to be working with, because that is, and so I have that image that I reach for. And I have triggers all over my house, because I work from home, and in my car, that help me. And this is what I'm sharing this because I want to encourage you to do it too, that when that moment happened, that paradigm comes in, right? Because it is so sneaky. It'll come in when you least expect it, or when you're doing really, really well. And so you want to have those triggers. It's so important to live from the goal. And something that Arash Vasugi said during a team call last year, and Arash has been a huge mentor for me too. And he said it, and I commented, and he said, I've never said that before. It was like a download from the universe that he got, that he said, the goal is catching up to you. You're already, and you don't realize it, but you're already on to your next goal. Like, the goal is catching up to you. The idea that you already have, you're already working towards your goal. Like, you're not separate from it, but you are the incidental. You are the cause. And when we realize that, like, that's where the power is. When we have this oneness, we know we have this oneness with source and spirit. Like, that is the beauty in all that we do. And this is why we set goals, is to realize this. The goal is not about getting, it's not about the, X amount that we want to earn every month, or, yeah, that's fun and that's a part of it, but it's not about, that's not truly what this is about. Okay. So, I share that because it was one of the, and I'll share I had two other main, like, very pivotal moments for me that, really stood out in terms of working with Bob. I'll share those more tomorrow and over the weekend. But what I'm going to do is share my screen and just kind of drive home this point a little bit further on self-image. So like we talked about yesterday, the mind creates the image, right? And the results that we are achieving in our lives are a direct reflection of that image, right? It's the image that we have of ourselves that is causing our results. It's not anything outside of us. It is all going on inside. So no matter what the results are now, if you improve that image, you create a bigger image, a bigger version of yourself, you know, like really, how far can you take this? How far do you want to take yourself? Like build that image. Don't be afraid to go there in your mind first. Because if you want to create it on the outside, you have to go inside first, right? So in order to improve that image, you have to go there. And the improvement will, by law, by universal law, will always be reflective in your results. We saw this slide yesterday as well. And I love this because I grew up loving Wonder Woman. It reminds me of that. But, what you need to do, again, is create a new and improved image. This all comes down to that self-image script. And I want to get some feedback on that from Keith and Ingrid as well. But create this winner's image, right? What does it take to win? Who are you when you've won, in your mind? Because it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks it's about you. So your new image will be expressed through your behavior and reflected in new and improved results. And I love this image in this slide because it's not who you are that holds you back. It's not who you currently are. It's who you think you're not. Right? And so that is our only limitation. Is it's not who you are that holds you back. It's who you think you're not. And we talked so much about paradigms and our programming and how we got to, where we're at through our past programming, through our genetics and our upbringing and our environment. And so here's the turning point, you guys, is that we might not be responsible for who we are because we didn't know, right? We didn't have that. Most of us didn't have that awareness before. But here's the thing is that now that you you really can't go back. Like we're responsible to change that. And that's the tricky thing. Like there's a lesson in Lead the Field, which is a beautiful program that Bob and Sandy redid. A lesson where Bob says, and Earl Nightingale says, the chicken cannot go back in the egg. It just can't. And so once you know this, and once you have this level of awareness, again, everything in life is conscious awareness. Like once you know this stuff, like you can't go back. And so now it's on you to change, right? And to make that decision, tying it back to that decision article, it's our responsibility to change. So what I want to do before we get into, we're going to touch on belief and faith before we bring on Marika. But I want to just open it up and just anyone that is live on the Zoom, and if you're watching the replay, I know a lot of you are, you can type it in the comments now as well. But if anyone has any feedback on either writing the self-image script or has questions or listening to Feeling is the Secret, I open it up now. I'd love to get your feedback. Ingrid, do you want to go first? I know you had some thoughts.
Yeah, I love in the Feeling is a Secret, this little bit here. You are already that which you want to be. And your refusal to believe this is the only reason you do not see it. To seek on the outside for that which you do not feel you are is to seek in vain, for we never find that which we want. We find only that which we are. That's just so powerful. That's what you've been saying about how we're feeling about who we are. And when I did my self-image script, I've actually sort of I redo it and update it. And when I look back at some of the things, I think I'm doing that now. I'm living that because I've read it over and over. I'm feeling it. The words I've used in my self-image script are very much about how I feel. And I think, wow, I'm starting to live that. So it's really great. I love that.
It's so beautiful. That's so true. That's exactly it. If we think about it like this, when we're we talked a lot yesterday about, when a baby is born and comes onto the scene, right? They don't have all of this programming, and they're essentially, perfect. Like they don't have all of these paradigms. And then through our conditioning, we start to develop these other images of ourselves that are limiting beliefs, limiting values, ideas. And then once we get into this kind of material and this awareness, this understanding, I always say, and I love this, it's like it's a remembrance. It's a coming home to who we are, and who we're meant to be. And I have on my refrigerator, I just said, remember who you are. Like, you are perfect. There's nothing wrong with you, nothing wrong with any of us. The fact that we think that there is the only thing holding us back.
Mm.
That's great. That's great.
And I wanna jump in. There's, for me, there's the material, right? There's knowing the material intellectually, and then, on the other side of that, there's embodying what you know, right? Literally living, like you said, Hedy always talk about living from the inside out rather than living from the outside in, which basically, in my mind, means that when you live from the inside out, you already know that whatever you want is already with you. When you live from the outside in, you might look around you and be like, don't really have this thing that I really want right now. And that might create a certain impression upon your subconscious that then creates this feeling of angst and the confusion or the ambivalent state where you don't go for the thing that you want. But when you live from the goal, when you live from the inside out, it's already with you. So everything that you do is going to essentially match this thing that you want the most. So that for me, that's really a key distinction between knowing the material intellectually and really embodying it. I think that was certainly one of the biggest moments for me, just in terms of where I am right now. I think I said this to you earlier, that last year I really wanted to become part of this program. I really wanted to work in the spirit of essentially helping people, become their best versions. And I didn't know how I was going to do that, but I wrote it down and I felt it. I really felt, I embodied, what that feeling is to actually do that. And today I'm here, which it's almost like I've left the intellectual part, not necessarily behind, but it's the feeling and the embodiment of this material, which I think is really key in my personal experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like, you didn't worry about the how, right? That's that C type goal, and you don't know how you're going to do it. But you just get so connected with the feeling. Feeling is a secret. And then, you let and allow, you let it unfold. I mean,
Yeah.
right. Like, we didn't know that we were going to be here together, working together. And I never could have ever have imagined that. But here we are. And that's the beauty of this, is when you have that, it's like the art of allowance. It's the letting, the allowance. And, Marika and I were talking earlier, it's like this, it's the balance of the masculine and the feminine energy, right? It's when you find that balance of, that you need both. There's such a drive right now with this, feminine energy, which has been needed for a while. But it's not like it's not there's a good or a bad. It's finding that balance. And that's what you did, is that's a part of allowing. So that's great. That's great. So listen, what I want to do before we bring Marika on is, I just want to touch on two other key points, actually maybe three. So when the only other thing, so you've set the goal, right? You know what could potentially be holding you back. You have created this image. And then what you need to do is you have to back it with belief and faith. Okay, so belief in not just your goal, but the belief in yourself. Like, do you really believe all that you say that you are, all that you say that you want? You know, do you really believe what's in your self-image script? And in the beginning, you're not going to believe it because it's a completely new and foreign concept, and that's okay. And the only way to strengthen and develop belief is through autosuggestion. And we're not going to get into that. Like it's a whole, I could do a whole lesson, a whole week's worth of lessons on autosuggestion, but that is autosuggestion. Remember, is a suggestion from yourself to yourself. And it's simply that. And we do that through affirmations, through what we listen to, through the information that we consume. And so, yeah, the only way to develop belief is through autosuggestion. And then, so that is one thing. And then the second concept of backing our burning desire. So we have our goal, which we work to fuse with. We become one with our goal. It has to become a burning desire. This is why I was stressing the point so often earlier in the week that it has to come from within. Okay, it can't just be a mere hope or wish. It can't be what someone else wants for you. It has got to come from within, you guys. It has to come from your heart. Your heart center is your emotional mind, is your subconscious mind. And so we take that and then we back it with faith. And we start to move into action, and we start to do what we can in the spirit and the energy of faith. So faith is this invisible force that we cannot see, and we take faith, and we just know, we have this understanding that we know we are drawing to us what it is that we desire. Bob has a quote that, he said, faith and fear both require you to believe in something you cannot see. So you choose. What are you choosing? Okay, and faith is, again, that's another whole topic. But what I want to read, I'm studying this book right now with my mastermind partner. It's God Works Through Faith, and it's by Dr. Robert Russell. It is, and God, I relate to the energy of God, but it could be source, it could be spirit, it could be universal intelligence, like whatever you resonate with. But this book, we have been studying this since the start of the year, and we're only on chapter 2 because we're going that deep with it. But what I want to read you is, when you believe that your desire is already fulfilled, believe that what you are asking for is already yours, you have put your faith to work, and what you seek will be manifested in your experience. I'm going to read it again. When you have that belief that your desire is already fulfilled, believe that what you are asking for is already yours, you have put your faith to work, and what you seek will be manifested in your experience. Florence Scovel, who I've studied and I continue to study her work, but her most famous book is called The Game of Life and How to Play It. And she talks about the way to apply faith. She calls it you dig your ditches, right? So if you want a new house, like you go out and you buy certain things for that house. If you want, like whatever it is that you desire, you start to move into action in the ways that you can, right? And first it all starts on the mental and the spiritual plane, and then you start to back it with faith on the physical plane in the ways that you can. So those are the two. I wanted to touch on that because I don't think there's no manifestation process. There's no, like, the laws of success are very simple, and it's the same process to manifest anything. And it's the process that we've taken you through this week. But I can't close out the teaching this week without talking about faith and belief. And the last point that I want to drive home before we bring Marika on is another book. And it's so funny. I used to not be a reader at all. And I grew up just not, I don't know, until I found something that I love and was passionate about. And now I just, the books are everywhere. But this is from Bob's book, You Were Born Rich. So if you're looking for, I would highly recommend, and I did drop the PDF into our Facebook group. So it's under the resources section in the Facebook group. If you are in any sort of financial turmoil, or if you're looking to manifest anything, Bob he outlines the process. He sets it up in the beginning for how to relieve yourself of any debt. And then he takes you through the spiritual process for how to turn it around. So I gave that to you guys because I like, it works. Okay. But there's a chapter, so much great goodness in this book, but chapter 5, it's called Expect an Abundance. It's on page 91, and I'm just going to read the top paragraph. So expectation is an energy. Okay, what are you expecting? He says, the mind is a powerful magnet, and as such, it attracts whatever corresponds to its ruling state. Expectation dictates what that ruling state will be, and therefore governs what corresponds to the mind and is attracted into your life. Expectation can be either a blessing or a curse, but either way, it is certainly one of the most powerful unseen forces in your life. So do you have an expectant attitude? Right? An attitude, remember, attitude is our thoughts, our feelings, and our actions, not just our disposition to the outer world. Like, do you have an expectant attitude? Are you expecting to manifest what you want, what you desire? Or are you expecting something different? Right? So I'm going to close on that. I'm going to bring Marika on. Marika, I'm so happy you're with us. You're one of my favorite clients.
Oh, thank you. That's good to know.
I just love, because like, you do the work, you are so passionate. Marika, as I mentioned earlier, and I'll let her talk, but Marika is a money mindset coach as well, and so many other things. I mean, I'll let you, I want you to just kind of do your intro, but you're just a product of the material. You're a product of the product, and you're so passionate about helping others and getting results, that you do the work, you do what it takes in order to continue, like, you change and grow every day. So I'll let you, I would love, if you want to just tell us, a little bit about you, your background, and then we'll kind of go from there.
Yeah. So thanks for having me and letting me speak here in your training today. So my name is Mareike Bruns. I live in Munich, Germany, and I'm a money mindset coach and business coach for female entrepreneurs, but also male people are always welcome. But my niche is like female entrepreneurs, and I work with them on money mindset and on their business, scaling their business and so on. And then I do this on a very hands-on and practical way, but also, and as we all know, which is the most important part, on a mindset way. And we are looking on all the bullshit stories they tell themselves, why they do not actually earn the money they really want to earn, or even just to say and allow themselves what they actually really want to earn, because they are scared of the number, and it's only a number. And so this is my work. I do this as a full self-employed, that's the word, full self-employed since August 2020. And I think an interesting part of my story is that I founded my company while writing my PhD and doing a PhD. So in the last half a year of my PhD and finishing it, I also founded this company because I didn't want to tell myself the story that it's impossible to finish a PhD and found a company. I said, no, man, that must be possible. And guess what? It was possible, because I didn't allow the thought that it's not possible, and it worked. And so and now I'm since 1.5 year fully self-employed, and I love what I do. I have my online courses, social media. I do this online, and and now I'm in Haley's coaching, and I love it. So that's my work.
Thank you. Yeah. Tell us, can you share with us like maybe one of your biggest achievements or aha moments, or maybe like your biggest shifts that you've experienced by, because I know that you invest in yourself over and over and over again all the time,
Yeah.
in terms of coaching. And
Yeah.
so can you just share like one of your biggest takeaways
Yeah.
from having done that?
Yeah, so I think there are two things. So the first thing was where I decided to be fully self-employed. I before was always the assistant from. I was the assistant, or not from, of, right? The assistant of my boss. So what you have to know is that I didn't do the PhD fully at a university. I just did it myself at home and worked and financed me myself. And I worked always in companies here in Munich. And then I was the assistant of the CEO. I was where I went to university and taught there some courses online. I was the assistant of the professor, but I was never the boss, the professor, the doctor, the whatever. I was always the person of. And for me, the first change, which relates perfectly to the self-image thing, the first shift I really had to make was, I am the boss. I am not the assistant of, I make my own exercises, I make my own stuff, and I am the boss. And this was so huge because in the family where I grew up, all women, like my mother, my grandma, and so on, they were all blah, blah, blah off. But they were not the boss. And my father is also self-employed, and he's the boss. But I always, as it is natural for a daughter or a girl in the family, I always like was in this position of, I'm also a person of, until I thought, no way, what has this to do with my sex? I am the boss. So, and this was actually the first shift I made. And it was so cool because where I really recognized it, and I really was like locked into myself, it was like, Jesus, I'm the boss. I can do whatever I want. And I have, and you can't believe it, I have so many clients who have the same issue. Who have the same issue, especially female clients, where I say, hey, when they ask me, like, how should I do that? And I don't know, you were the boss of your company, you make a decision. Oh boy, yes, I should do that. So I think that was the first thing. And the second big thing is, I am worthy. I am worthy of the money. I am worthy to get it just because I am.
I am. Yeah.
And I had a very, we all have a very interesting childhood. Let's say it like this. And I always thought I have to work so hard and so much and so deep and whatever to achieve love, to get really 10% of love, of money and whatever. Yeah, until I realized, no fucking way. God, I grew up in a Christianity background. God didn't say, let's put Mareike on earth so that she works hard and has to work hard for love and has to work on forever. He said, she's Mareike and she's a child of mine and she's loved just because she is. And that was, I think, the biggest two changes in my personal career.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Yeah. Keith, do you have a question?
Yes, I have a question. Hello, Mareike. How are you doing?
Keith, I'm fine. Thank you. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Mareike, I just have a question. When you say you are the boss, for me, that's such a powerful self-image, right?
Yeah.
To catapult yourself from the place that you were before to essentially where you want to be and eventually reach that. My question to you is, what are some of the bullshit stories you've heard from some of your clients that they've told themselves about money?
I think I get your question. So the first thing is their own, or the most important thing is also their own worth. Like they're not recognizing that the work they are doing is already worthy enough. It is enough that they can get paid for it. So what I often recognize is, yeah, I'm offering all my work now for free. And because I just started and then I get testimonials, and I said, and who of your testimonials is going to pay your rent? And who of your testimonials is going to pay the food for your child? And your massage and your manicure and pedicure and hotel and luxus, whatever. Who is paying that? And then all people get big eyes. Wait a minute. It's like this. I see my own worth. I mean, there's nothing wrong with doing something for free. I have a podcast. I do many lives on social media. There's nothing wrong. But the intention of doing it, like I do it because I think I'm not worthy enough. My work is not worthy enough of getting money. Mm-hmm. That's the thing. If you do it for free in terms of service and to announce your work, to be seen, to show up, totally different story. But it's about the intention, what I'm doing there. And the thing, I think the most important thing is to know their own worth. And when I say, hey, take your price and just put a 0 at the end, they are like, what? And I said, yeah, it's possible. You don't have to sell your work for 99 euro or whatever, or dollar or whatever your currency is. You don't have to, just put a 0. Or if you're happy, just put 2 zeros at the end if you want to. It has nothing to do with the price. It's just the story you tell yourself about the price. Because money is always relative, right? Money is so relative. So but I'm just talking.
No, that's it's a great question, and you're that's exactly, like, I went through the same transition as well, like when I was getting out of corporate and starting my business. And yeah, like I wanted to give it away for free because I believed in it and loved it and wanted to help people, but at the end, that was a story it was true, but it was also, I was afraid, to charge in the beginning. And so yeah, I totally agree. And it actually brings me to something I wanted to touch on, is just, it's the universal law of investing too. Right? Like earning money and spending, or kind of going off on a little tangent here, but earning and spending money is the same energy, right? It's the law of cause and effect. Like you have to, like if we want to earn more money, we have to spend more money. We have to give. It needs to circulate, right? Going back to what we talked about in the beginning of the week, is just money is just energy, right? It needs to circulate. So when you invest $500 in something, in yourself, versus 5,000, it's you're going to get what you put out, because it is energy and it just needs to circulate. And many years ago when I was starting in this industry, it kind of felt like a sales tactic. It felt like but it's so true. Like you will always get back what you put out. And so it's the same for how your worthiness and what you feel, that you're worth. Marika, I want to just ask you another question. You have such a powerful story around something that happened to you last year or the year before, or last year, like a year ago, right? Yeah, around the power of our subconscious and what it is we really want. Yeah. And it, I feel so perfectly articulates and demonstrates the power of our subconscious and that burning desire. So can you share the story of you and your dissertation and your vacation?
Okay. Yes, of course. So as I told you before, I have a PhD and finished the PhD and submitted it in December 2020. And as it is usual, you have to defend your PhD before you're getting the title. And in my case, it was actually very fast. So I submitted on the 20th of December 2020, which was, by the way, a goal I set on my calendar. I wrote down on the 20th of December 2020, I submit my PhD, and it was true. So, and then my professor said, so yeah, we are very fast here in correcting and stuff. So your defense will be on March 19th. And I was like, oh gosh, that are only 3 months. Okay, that's really fast. Normally it's a 6-month period of time, right? And I was like, yeah, okay, great. And of course, as I know now, on the 19th of March, there is the PhD thing. I prepared, and I was like very excited, because the defense is a very big thing, right? At least in Germany, it's a big thing. So I prepared, of course, right? And then I just booked for after the defense. I booked a holiday, vacation, because many coaches told me, hey, after that you need a break, just go somewhere. And I thought, yeah, that's a good idea. I thought it, but I didn't feel it. This is an important point. And yeah, I booked the holiday, but with a feeling of, meh. And you know, we all were in this pandemic. And I thought, yeah, but it will work. It's Europe. And within Europe, then things are often easier when you travel. When you are from Europe and you travel in Europe, it's easier to travel. Yeah, but I booked it. Okay, so the 19th of March came closer and closer, and I didn't heard anything of my supervisor, like anything. And I was like, wait a minute, in 2 weeks is this defense, she must send me a message. And there was nothing. And then I sent a message to her office, to her assistant, and asked, is she there? And then she say, actually, we do not know where she is because she didn't let anybody hear a message. Then I asked my second supervisor whether he had heard something of her, and he said, oh, didn't she send you a message? She has a kind of burnout whatever thing. We do not know when she comes back. And I was like, what the ... Like, what? And nobody's telling me that my defense is not going to take place March 19. Ugh. But there was still the holiday. But I was in a situation like I already felt that there was something wrong. And with my little antennae, and then there was this vacation, but I still was in the feeling of, what is when she sends me a mail? And when she sends me a mail, I have to be there within 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, I have to be fully prepared, right? And I always had this feeling, okay, when I'm going to a 1 week vacation, and she calls me in the 1 week vacation, there are a few days left, right? Oh my God, I always had this feeling. But as everybody told me, Mareike, she won't send you a message and go to the holiday. I mean, you prepared so much, you need a break, blah, blah, blah. Okay. I said I booked it and I couldn't cancel it, whatever. But within, I felt like this no feeling, right? Okay, anyway, we're in the middle of the pandemic. The airport or the plane thing company said, you have to bring a test, a COVID test, for showing us that you have no COVID. I was, yeah, did the test, great. Went to the airport with my suitcase, and I just showed them everything, my passport, the test, and so on. And then they said, you're not allowed to come to Spain. And I was like, why I'm not allowed to come to Spain? I have everything here. Yeah, because you need a PCR test, not a rapid test. I was like, Jesus. And in that moment, I didn't recognize what happens there in that moment. But where I was in the train back with my full suitcase and my all the holiday stuff, I was like, yeah, because you didn't want it. It wasn't
what you wanted.
Yeah, it was what I wanted. And it's not about the PCR test or the rapid test. It's not. It's about that something happened. It could even have a PCR test, then on the way that is happening something and I just didn't get the plane or whatever. But I actually didn't want it because I wanted to be here until this defense thing is over. And honestly speaking, my defense was last year in June. It took 3 further months and I didn't go to any vacation because I know I don't want it. And any person who didn't wait for the date for his or her defense can't understand that. And this is why I just followed then what I really, really wanted.
So you guys, like anyone listening, I feel that this story can really help. It just so perfectly, like I said, demonstrates the power of our subconscious. And so Mareike did not want to go on holiday until her defense was done, but she was doing it because of all the outside reasons and circumstances and other people telling her, just go, you deserve a break anyway, right? And so not only that, like her level of awareness is of such that when she was on the train on the way home, like she she realized that, right? Most people would be probably, oh, I didn't do the right test, or oh my gosh, I did all this planning, and oh, woe is me, and this and that. But those are just our circumstances. It is our environment, right? It is, again, it's our results are a direct reflection of what's going on inside of us. And that's what was going on inside of her. And so I know it was a while ago that you told, we were on a team, a coaching call with my former clients, and you told that story, and I just love it because it's so beautiful. So thank you for sharing that. Is there any advice, being a coach yourself, money mindset coach, is there any key takeaways that, you would like to share with those listening that you feel could, be of service?
Yes, definitely. So it's actually, it is the power of your thoughts and the power of your awareness, what I want to give you with the as a takeaway. So what I always recognize, and this is also reference to the question of Keith, is that the people are not aware of the power of their thoughts and patterns. Because everything you see in your environment right now is a result of that. So when you are standing here and this is your goal, the only thing what is in between is a bullshit story. And to get this bridge here, or to cut it so that it's like this, it's to develop the awareness that there is that bullshit story. And this is why I love to invest that much in myself, and I really invested a lot in myself, because when you have a coach, the coach sees the pattern. Because if you try to break the pattern with the thoughts which created the pattern, it's impossible. This is something what Albert Einstein in German said. It's impossible. I mean, you can read books, but when you read the book, you read it with the thoughts you have, right? So this is why I love coaching, because coaching breaks this bridge in between so much faster. And it's only a question of your personal awareness, how much money you have on your bank account. It's a question of that. I mean, I'm trying now to hit a new goal, and the goal I have right now, and for more than 1.5 years, is a goal other people are dreaming of a long time ago. But now I want to have this new goal, and and this is what I work with Haley on at the moment, is like, where is my bullshit story? What do I tell myself? And this is the key takeaway with where I go with all my clients through, is like what you said before, who are you not to have that, right? Mm-hmm. And the daily study on all that stuff is the most important point. So please don't say, oh, I have so many things to do and I have to do blah 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 blah. You can skip the half of it, I would say. Really, it's ridiculous. Just take the book, whatever, a video, whatever, and read the stuff and study, and you will save so much more time. And this is what the most important thing, I think.
That's great. That's great. Yep, exactly. And like your environment, right? I mean, that's what it is when you invest in yourself in a coach or mentor or program, and like you're intentionally putting yourself in an environment that's conducive to your growth. And and that's the only way to like create really, I mean, you can do it, but in order to accelerate the process, that's the importance of that. So thank you so much, Marijke. Thank you for joining us today. I know that you've, anyone listening, definitely helped for, without a doubt, with your feedback, your takeaways. And I would love for people to follow you on Instagram. I know that, you're doing a mix of English and German, and so I would love to, can you just tell people where, like, what is your website, and where can people find you? You have a podcast too.
Yes, I have a podcast, and I have my first English episode. So if anybody wants to hear it, you can find me actually anywhere and just type my name in. So just it's Marijke Bruns on Facebook, it's Marijke Bruns on Instagram, it's Marijke Bruns on LinkedIn, it's Marijke Bruns on anywhere. And if you want to find my website, it's Marijke Bruns in one word .de for Germany. DE It's Deutschland.de. And yeah, so there you can find me. So I think the easiest way to get in contact with me in the first place is just watch out in your Facebook group for my name. I'm the girl in the red dress.
Absolutely. Thank you so much again. I know that we have time for probably one more question. Ingrid, did you want to?
Yeah, there was one in the chat. How long can it take to shift an old paradigm?
That's a great question. Yeah, I mean, I think, it depends on how long it's been planted in the subconscious mind. If you're trying to do it on your own, it could take longer than if you're invested in, a coach or a mentor or a program that can help you accelerate the process. It really depends, and it comes down to the beliefs and the ideas that you have of yourself and what this paradigm is. So what I would encourage you to do is for anyone listening, and this is the assignment for today, is anyone listening that is interested in going deeper with this material, please book a discovery call. The link for my calendar is in the chat as well as in the Facebook group. Let me see how I can help you and we can go a little deeper with it. I'll let Keith, I think, is still going to close us out today. But we will be back tomorrow for, we have another testimonial, another client, Abby, who is on the Zoom now today as well. And then we're going to do a Q&A tomorrow. So bring your questions. We're going to post a feed in the Facebook group for where you can start if you don't want to come on Zoom, or if you can't because of the time difference. Please post your questions. We'll answer them during the live tomorrow. And I want to help you guys, and however I can, and the more feedback I get, the more more feedback, more questions is the way that I can do that. So anything else, Keith, that I left out today that you want to include to wrap us up?
Yeah, so thank you, Haley, and thank you, Marike. Such a beautiful lesson today. We encourage you guys to book a discovery call with Haley. I've dropped the link in the chat. We will also drop that link in the Facebook group. So again, those paradigms are there to be shifted, right? So to accelerate the process, you can have the conversation with Haley to sort of map out your path, the journey that you want to be on as well. I think it's important for us to be able to, support you in that journey. So we've dropped the link for the discovery call in the chat. We'll drop it in the Facebook group as well. That's essentially your homework for today. So just book that call, guys, and we'll see you on the other side.